And the rest is music. On Sunday, a couple of thousand philanthropic souls will be digging deep into their pockets and making their way to the Theatre Royal Drury Lane for a charity evening on behalf of the Royal Marsden Cancer Fund. Now, the object of their attention will be a special one-off concert performance of a relatively unknown Broadway musical called Mac and Mabel. Though you may remember Torval and Dean used a medley of its songs when they won the World Ice Dance Championships in 1982. You do, don't you? Know where we get them. We thought the show should not go unmarked on television, so tonight we're bringing you some of the highlights with two of the stars of Sunday's performance. So welcome, George Hearn and Georgia Brown. Now look, Georgia, George I've talked to already on this show when he was over here a couple of years ago.
Yes.
About 2 years ago.
Yes.
You and Dennis.
Yes.
That cage au fol.
Wasn't that wonderful?
Another one of Jerry Herman's. Yeah.
Yes.
Now you, where have you been?
I've been all over America, actually. I was working with the wonderful Hal Prince, who has this amazing success with Phantom, and we did a piece called Madame Rosa, which was well received everywhere but in New York.
You live in America now.
I live in California. Longing to come back. To leave London is tearing the flesh from the bone.
You're beginning to lose the Cockney accent.
No, I'm not, darling. No, not when I want to.
Yeah, you can turn it on. How do they react? In America, they like the American. Do they still like the British accent, or are they fed
They
up?
adore it. No. Yeah. Turn on the Cockney and they all fall to pieces.
You're still singing your heart out and still working away.
Yes, of course. You're still working away too, aren't you?
Well,
I mean, how can we give this up? It's a wonderful thing to do.
well, that's what John Mills said. It beats working for a living, doesn't
And
it?
to get applause, too.
Yeah, quite. Fish don't applaud it. George, you were in a frock most of the time you were in Britain, weren't you, in La Cage aux Folles?
Yes, and I came back because Jerry said, would you like to do Mac and Mabel? And I said, which part? And he said Mac, and I said, I'll go.
Yes.
You know, it's nice to be back in trousers.
Because people were beginning to talk for a while
they
here.
were.
When is George Hearn going to get back into trousers again? When you went back to America, you took a rest.
Yes.
Then what else? What did you do?
Then I took a longer rest, and a longer rest because nobody asked me to do anything. and I did a musical called Of the Chosen, the Chaim Potok novel, which did not succeed. And I'm doing a film now, Alan Pakula film. It'll be out next year.
You're not singing in that, though.
No, they won't let me sing on the film. Maybe they're getting wise to me.
I'm just wondering if the bubble has burst. Yes. Let's give him speaking parts. Yeah. Now, you're in this Mac and Mabel. It's a one-off, but it's like appearing in the musical because you're going right through the score of it. It must be a bit hectic. You've got a week about to put it together.
Very exciting, and the most exciting thing is we have Jerry Herman with us.
The composer.
Which can be frightening and can be wonderful, because he's watching all the time, everything we do.
Yeah. And I mean, Dennis Quilly's going to sing along with you, but he hasn't come down from Manchester yet.
No, he won't come down until the day, actually. He rehearsed last week before I got here, so I haven't seen him.
It's going to be hairy when you put it together on Sunday night.
I think it will. A lot of adrenaline and nerves, yeah.
Because a lot of people, obviously, with the Royal Marsden, have paid a lot of money to go and see it. It better be good.
We flew a long way.
Yeah.
So it ought to be.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be any good?
I think it'll be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope so.
Looking forward to it.
Because I'll be there, and I'll be hurling the vegetables if it isn't. Yeah. And Jerry's going to play for us. Look, I'll tell you what. There's pointless having the pair of you here if you're not going to burst into song.
Definitely.
So we'll have... Georgia, so long since I've heard you sing, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Can we hear from you, George? The last time you were with us, you sung with Dennis from La Cage aux Folles. Would you sing for us again?
I'll try it without Dennis.
Ladies and gentlemen, George Hearn.
Of times is now, what's left of summer but a faded rose. The best of times is now. As for tomorrow, well, who knows, who knows, who knows. So hold this moment fast and live and love as hard as you know how, and make this moment last. because the best of times is now, is now, is now, now, not some forgotten yesterday. No, tomorrow is too far away, so hold this moment fast and live and love as hard as you know how, and make this moment last, because the best of times is now, is now, is now.
Hang on, there's more, there's more. George is staying with us. That's from the best of times from that Carjo Falls. And now we're going on to Mac and Mabel, the story of Hollywood in its silent comedy heydays. In the words of one of the show's big songs, the days when movies were movies.
Movies were movies when you paid a dime to escape, cheering the hero and hissing the man in the cape. Romance and action and thrills, partnered as gold in them hills. Movies were movies when during the titles you'd know you'd get a happy ending, dozens of blundering cops in a thundering chase, getting a bang out of lemon meringue in the face. Bandits attacking a train, one little tramp with a cane. Movies were movies were movies when I ran the show. Movies were movies when Pauline was tied to the track, after she trudged through the ice with a babe on her back. Girls at the seashore would stand, all in a row in the sand, rolling their stockings an inch and a quarter below the line of decency. And Swanson and Keaton and Dressler and William S. Hart, no one pretended that what we were doing was hard. We had some guts and some luck, but we were just making a buck. Movies were movies were movies when I ran the show. And William S. Hart, no one pretended that what we were doing was art. We had some guts and some luck, but we were just making a buck. Movies were movies were movies when I ran the show.
Terrific. And good voice as ever, George Hearn. That'll be something or something. That's a marvellous song from Mac and Mabel. How are your own vocal cords, George?
I think they're standing up to it.
Do you do a lot of training and all that
none
stuff?
of that, none of that.
Don't you?
No, it's the old Welsh method. You just open your mouth and sing.
It's either there, you got it or you ain't. Yeah, and you got it.
I hope so.
Let's hear it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Georgia Brown, ladies and gentlemen.
Time heals everything. Tuesday, Thursday. Time heals everything. April, August. If I'm patient, the break will mend. And one fine morning, the hurt will end. So let the moments fly. Autumn, winter. I'll forget you by next year, some year. So it's hell that I'm going through. Some Tuesday, Thursday, April, August, autumn, winter, next year, some year. Time heals everything. Time heals everything but loving you. If I'm patient, the break will mend. And some fine morning, the hurt will end. So make the moments fly. Autumn, winter. I'll forget you by next year, some year. Though it's hell that I'm going through. Some Tuesday, Thursday, April, August, autumn, winter, next year, some year. Time heals everything. Time heals everything but
Wonderful, wonderful. That's in the part of Mabel Normand, Georgia Brown. From Mac and Mabel, time heals everything. Didn't hear a funny noise there, did you? Now, if you think you can hear the rumble of a tiny earthquake, don't worry. It's the grand piano being moved in for my last guest tonight. He's the man who wrote all of the songs we've been hearing tonight, and a fair few others besides. He's the composer of Cajo Full, Hello, Dolly, Mame, Mac and Mabel. Welcome, Jerry Herman.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. I love it. I wish I could do that.
Oh, it's easy.
Or even close. We haven't got time for a piano lesson here, but it must be, Jerry, must be like going into the office when you sit down at the piano. You must feel immediately at home at the thing.
Really at home. I'm most at home at a piano.
Yeah.
When I was 6 years old, I started playing, and here I am.
Yeah, here you are, and so successful as well. Now, you started writing musicals before you actually could read music, didn't you?
I did. My first musical, I wrote completely by ear and had no idea what the names of the chords were. And through the years, of course, I've had to learn all that, but it was...
What was your first musical? Do you remember?
It was called Milk and Honey, and it ran on Broadway for almost 2 years, and the next one was Hello, Dolly. That's when I started to learn what I was doing.
Yeah. Now, you're one of the rare breed that writes the music and the lyrics. You've always done that. You've never collaborated.
I wouldn't know how to do either separately. I think of music and lyrics as one, as inseparable, and I write them together. So I wouldn't even know how to sit down.
You can't. I'm trying to envisage the thought process of the words and the music together. Surely you must really get through the lyrics first and then the music. Or does it...
I never do that. I get the idea for the titles, you know, of the song and the idea of the song, and then it's like a crazy jigsaw puzzle where a few notes happen and I'll put words to that, and then I'll go to the end and fill in the middle. It's a very strange and complicated process.
How long does it take you to do something? Is there a time?
There really isn't a time limit. I've written some songs in as short a time as 20 minutes. And 1 or 2 songs have taken almost a year to complete. I'd put them away and come back to them.
You're a bit fastidious, are you? Do you rewrite a lot? Do you?
Oh, yes. I throw more out than I use.
Yeah. Now, Hello, Dolly was a massive success. Were you... you couldn't have been too surprised. You must have known you had a good one when you wrote that.
I'll tell you, we had a lot of trouble with it out of town, and so when it turned into the phenomenal success it turned into, I was really surprised. I mean, I never dreamed that it would run for 7 years with all those ladies. I mean, every lady in New York and in America was in that show.
Which ladies played Dolly? Just
Carol
Channing was first.
Ginger Rogers, Betty Grable, Pearl Bailey, Ethel Merman, Phyllis Diller, Barbara Streisand in the movies, Dorothy Lamour, Yvonne de Carlo. I mean, I could sit here all night and give you names of ladies who have played that.
Were you happy with the movie version of it?
Not really. I get so used to the original, and I'm such a Broadway baby that I'm never really thrilled with what Hollywood does. But it wasn't very painful to have Barbara Streisand sing your songs, I'll tell you.
Oh, no, wonderful singing.
Wonderful.
After Hello, Dolly, what was your favorite tune in that?
Before the parade passes by, I've got to go and taste Saturday's high life. That was my favorite song because the essence of the character is really inherent in that song.
Yeah.
She makes her mind to come back to the human race in that song, and that's really what it was all about.
Was there an enormous pressure on you after the enormous success of Hello, Dolly to follow the thing up?
I think the hardest thing I ever had to do was to write a title song for Mame, the show that followed it, because I had that specter of Hello, Dolly hanging over me, and I really didn't want to write a title song for Mame. But the producers begged, and I tossed that song off, and lightning struck twice, and I was surprised again that song was so successful.
Mame was a big one, wasn't it?
Big one, yeah.
Again, they made a movie of that. You weren't crazy about that either?
No.
Yeah. What about the Mame? Give us a little.
Sure.
Just a burst of Mame. Those silvery tones.
You coax the blues right out of the horn, Mame. You charm the husk right off of the corn, Mame.
Are you a frustrated performer yourself?
No, I'm really scared to death to perform. I'm just clenching my fists and doing it, but I really would much rather be in. When you have Georgia Brown and George Hearn and Tommy Tune and all those great people, why would anybody want to listen to me?
Well, you wrote them, and we're glad to be listening to you tonight. Now, Mac and Mabel is being staged as a kind of one-off on Sunday, for a very good cause.
Yes.
But it's a great pity that we can't see Mac and Mabel on stage yet.
We're going to.
Really?
I'm going to bring it to London after all these years, sometime in '89, the full show, and it's taken me 12 years to get it here and to change things and fix it, but I'm crazy about it now, and I really wanted...
Because it ran
to
successfully on Broadway.
It was
okay,
mildly
wasn't it? 9
successful,
months.
and but the phenomenon of it, the way it caught on here, is really amazing. It started with Torval and Dean, as you mentioned, and then David Jacobs started playing songs from it on his show, and I started getting mail asking me, when are you going to bring Mac and Mabel to London? And I realized that London had discovered this show without it ever having played here, and that's really kind of a phenomenon.
Oh, we've heard 2 marvelous songs from it, if they're a taster. Well, what do you think, just by the by, of... It used to be said that the musical was an American art form. Nobody else could do it properly. And now, particularly with the advent of Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice, it appears as if Britain has taken over Broadway.
Absolutely, and I'm one of the people who think it's wonderful, because I love Phantom, and I love the material that they've turned out, but even more important, I think it's going to help all of my compatriots in America do even better work, because now we're not complacent about it. Now we realize that you know how to do it just as well as we do.
Competition's high up.
Yeah.
It must sadden you sometimes when you think of, as you say, you prefer Broadway to the movie. It must sadden you when you think of how few people see a musical on stage as compared to the people
It really
that see
does.
it on films and TV.
Terry, I love writing for the mass audience, and I wish the Broadway audience were as vast as the people listening to us tonight. But on shows like yours, I get a chance to have my songs heard, and that's very nice.
A chance to tickle the ivories
Yeah.
and sing them along as well. I mean, have you any other major work waiting? Is there any work in progress for Jerry?
Right now, it's Mac and Mabel in progress, and until that's launched, I really can't start on anything else, because I have a one-track mind.
I mean, you must be fairly confident, of course, because you've had a great track record. But we hear an awful lot, and we heard from Andrew Lloyd Webber lately by satellite on the show, about how important critics can be, particularly, I think, Frank Rich of the Times, the New York Times. If you get a duff review from him, you're dead. I mean, that can be a bit heartbreaking too.
It's much healthier in this country. We only have 3 New York papers, and so everything rides on those 3 reviews. Here, I think you must have 12 papers, or am I wrong? I think it's about that.
Well, no, they're not all newspapers. We've got 12. We've got about 2. No.
But I think it's much more sensible, and I think the public makes its decision here. We're in New York.
I think that's correct. I don't think that the
yeah.
British public allows one critic make
No,
its decision for
no.
what it wants to see and hear. In fact, something like Charlie Girl got panned, and they kept coming.
But the public found it,
Yeah.
and I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah. Well, now, we've talked about your other shows. The one, I suppose, Cajo Fall was enormously successful, but Hello, Dolly, I suppose that... Just Hello, Dolly, wonderful name and all the rest of it. Would you...
Oh, I'd love to.
Would you grace our stage
I'd love to.
by playing it for us?
Hello, Dolly. Well, hello, Dolly. It's so nice to have you back where you belong. You're looking swell, Dolly, I can tell. Dolly, you're still glowing, you're still crowing, you're still going strong. I feel the room swaying, for the band's playing one of my old favorite songs from way back when. For listening to my song, thank you for the years that you've hummed along. Thank you, promise you'll never go away. Promise you'll never go away. Promise you'll never go away again.
you. We'll see you on Monday. And we'll be celebrating the 3rd birthday of EastEnders in the company of Karsh of Ottawa and Joan Baez as well. See you 7 o'clock. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye. Thank you.